doing the pop thing was all fine, and then when my music company at one point was not sure really what they wanted to do with me, and I was getting frustrated. At that time, MTV was really keen to hire me. My songs like Ek Pardesi and Babu had become huge smash hits. So it was like, she's already a pop star, she's a VJ, ab actor bhi banna hai, she should choose one thing. We have a couple of song options, and what we'll do is we'll make a completely original song and just keep the hook.
Sophie, I think it was your grandmother who first sort of predicted that you would be a singer one day when I think you were 2-year-old. Is 2-year-old 2 days?
2 days old. Right. She had a dream literally 2 days after I was born, and she went and told my mom, I've seen her face on record covers, ye singer banegi. And everyone just thought, as one does, yes, whatever. But strangely enough, that's what destiny had in store for me.
From being a backing vocalist, I think.
At the age of 11 or 12.
And then to sort of launching your own singles.
Yeah.
How do you sort of trace your music journey then?
Nothing was planned, Justin. I did not plan anything. I mean, you know, my entire family is abroad. So to even move to India, it was ek saal ke liye we'll go and see what happens. You know, there was nothing really charted out. Bidu had an idea while I was in college of putting together a British Asian girl band. British Asians was suddenly the thing. And he was like, why don't we make a band? And you know, you girls can be like these exotic British Asian girls but singing English. That was the idea. We did auditions, we put together a band. But ironically, the first record deal we got was with Universal India. And we were so young that he was like, treat it like a practice. You know, come out, shoot your video, you'll get an idea of what it's like to be in the industry. And that first song was a song that I wrote called Ye Dil Sun Raha Hai. And it did really well. I was like 17, for God's sake, when that happened. And then we came back and did Habibi, and then the band split up. And then I got a solo deal. And that's how it happened, you know, the idea that I would move to India and become an Indian pop star, and nothing was planned.
How did you react to fame at that young an age? I mean, what did that feel like?
I still don't consider myself famous, so at that time, so not at all, and I still don't think of myself like that. I think the taste of fame I got was more in the UK when I used to be a VJ, again at that age of 17, 18, and I had my own TV show, which was very popular, and it used to be on Z. It used to be on Z. And Z used to do these annual melas, and I remember there was one year where Akshay sir and Mahima and all of these people came, and then I had my own booth, and I needed as much security, and there was security like picking me up and taking me, and I was a kid, but I had such a popular show, and people still remember that show. That was my taste of fame, you know, getting called to like France or Spain as chief guest for a charity event. At that age, so I was seeing all of that, but even then, honestly, I mean, this whole idea that I became famous, no, I don't think it ever really hit me like that.
Now that you mentioned that phase, I remember, I think, wasn't Shah Rukh Khan someone you interviewed back then? What's the story?
So, I used to do a show about music, like the top 10 music, and it was very, very popular. And there were other people on the channel who would do these interviews, but for some reason at that point, I was asked to interview Shah Rukh. That was going to be like one of my first interviews in my life. I'll never forget, I went out to buy a new outfit, and I went to meet him, and he was so sweet. I was definitely around the same time, probably 18, somewhere around there. He was so nice and so kind and so sweet and so funny. And the really amazing thing is that when he met me here in Bombay, he kind of did a double take. He's like, I know you. I said, yes, I interviewed you in London. Tu yahan aa gayi? मैंने कहा जी सर मैं आ गई अच्छा किया आ गई. He was so sweet, and after that I was fortunate enough to do a lot of live shows with him, but as a first interview that was quite scary, but he was so nice. He was just so kind.
But Sophie, it's interesting. I mean, so you came from UK to India, and you thought you'd be here for a year, and here we are in 2024. But what happened when you came to India? Did people look at you differently because you were this British London, Manchester is where
London,
right?
London.
Did people in the industry look at you differently just because you weren't born and brought up here in India? Was there a perception battle that you had?
A huge perception battle. I think what happened was when I came here, doing the pop thing was all fine, and then when my music company at one point was not sure really what they wanted to do with me, and I was getting frustrated. At that time, MTV was really keen to hire me. And when I became an MTV VJ, that was also life-changing for me because I was known overnight. I was in everybody's home, on TV twice a day, and everyone knew who I was. So for people, not so much in MTV, because that was always very ahead of time and forward-thinking and had a lot of international people. But for the movie people, yeah, I mean, there was an immediate perception कि ये तो बाहर से है, ये तो ऐसी होगी, ये तो वैसी होगी, and she's very like that strong, independent, and she's very sexy, glamorous. She can only do this. It came with a lot of preconceived notions. A lot of preconceived notions that I was not comfortable with. That were not easy to deal with, and that definitely happened. But it's so ironic because people don't realize that the Asians who are living abroad are far more conservative than the ones here, because we're trying so hard to retain our culture and so hard to be, just hold on to it. That actually way back when I remember when I used to VJ on Z, if ever I wore just a sleeveless top, I actually used to get hate mail. कि आपने तो बाजू दिखा दिए, आपने तो sleeveless पहन लिया, आप ऐसे revealing कपड़े. I mean, that was, and then I come to MTV and I'm in tiny little skirts and like tiny crop tops, and it was fine. So people often forget that British Asians are more conservative in many ways.
But did it sort of unsettle you when you were being pigeonholed as just the glam girl back in the day? Was there also something that you were fighting your way through?
I think more than just the glam girl, I think what really used to trouble people was the fact that I was multi-talented, in that I was VJing and popular at that. My songs like Ek Pardesi and Babu had become huge smash hits. So it was like, she's already a pop star, she's a VJ, ab actor bhi banna hai, she should choose one thing. That's what used to trouble people. Why can't she just do one thing? Why does she have to do so many things? Today, of course, people are revered for doing many things. It's like, oh, they can sing also, they can host also. I mean, like Ayushmann or Karan or Farhan or Shraddha or anybody. They can do so many things. But I was also doing so many things, but you were not okay with it then. So it used to be like, now in movies, if we take her, then we'll just give her the glam doll. Because beyond that, now no one's going to take her seriously. So that was definitely difficult and frustrating.
How did you navigate?
You couldn't. I think the only way I navigated was I very consciously created my own niche, my own space, which was, this is Sophie, this is what she is, this is what she does. And I did the work, like chose work that was offered to me. I chose what was best out of it. And not all of it was, but when your options are so limited, you tend to try and pick the best things that come your way. And I was lucky with some of it. And unlucky like most of us with many others. And that's part of the journey, I think. But to get myself out of the glam doll box, that was virtually impossible. I mean, it was literally like, why do you have don't think, no? Don't have a brain. Like, don't, like, I was told those kind of things.
I can imagine, But, so where does then Lip sort of fall in place of your pop star trajectory? What led to you saying that, okay, let me again take a popular track, use it as a hook line, and make a new tune out of it? How did that process of Lips begin?
So Lips, actually, Saregama came to me, and I'd had a song out about a year and a half ago called Gori Hai, which did really well. And somehow you kind of put me back out there with the kind of music I wanted to put out. I was very determined to do a completely original songs that I've been working on, and Saregama said, but we have a couple of song options, and what we'll do is we'll make a completely original song and just keep the hook, which is what even somebody like a Raghav does or whatever. So I said okay, and they offered me a couple of songs, and they were all incredibly iconic. One of them I was like, I cannot touch this one at all, and no one ever should. And then I looked at Hontompe and I said, no one should really touch this also, but actually it's lending itself to be made in a new way, because the original one is very iconic, very complex, very desi, has lots of twists and turns, but the hook line is so good. And I think we can work with it. So it was really their idea, and then once I heard what they planned to do with it, I agreed to it.
So is there a constant feedback that you keep getting from people that why don't you keep coming up with more tracks? Is there
all the time. All the time. I think I leave far too many gaps between my music. The reason is because it's hard to find good songs. And you know, it's not always easy to put out independent music. You know, so much of it is like produced by me or put together by me. It's not easy. And I think I've always been someone who's believed more in quality than quantity, even though this is perhaps an era of quantity over quality. But somehow I always like to have a little control over what I'm putting out. And I try to give my best. You know, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I know that I put out a quality product. Music is so subjective. Some people will love it, some people will not. You know, sometimes the most random, unexpected song becomes a hit, and sometimes the most beautiful song doesn't. So that is something you can't control. But I do endeavor to put out much more music this year.
You know, just the last question from my understanding. You're friends with Karan, Varun, Manish, and the entire circle. How does it work in terms of feedback? Like, do you ever bounce ideas with them, because these are extremely creative people in their own fields? How does that back and forth work with these people? That's a space that it's a very no-go zone space when it comes to work. How does it really work?
I mean, I think I'm very, so people have always had this impression that Sophie to puri industry ke saath uski dosti hai, sabko janti hai, and they must be thinking that everyone's out there helping me. Like, no one has ever helped, ever. And I want to make it clear that you don't get that much in this industry just through friendships. People, it's a business, and people will work with you if they want to. Second of all, I'm very aware that I don't want to cross over that line. These are my friends in my personal space. But yes, if I want advice, I will always go to them. I will always ask Manish. Karan has also been very sweet. Varun has been the most active. I think my last song when I did Gori Hai, the first person, once the video was ready and everything was ready, the first person I went and showed it to was Varun, because I really wanted him to launch it, and he was like, but it's really good. What are you doing? What is your plan? What is your media plan? What is your this plan? What is your that plan? Suddenly he's calling up people saying, what can we do? Listen, we need to do something for this song. He was so sweet. He's like, have you shown Karan yet? I said, I'm going to go now. I said, I'm going to show him. I'm going to show him. Go now. He must see this. He was so sweet. And he really went out of his way, and he's always been like that. For Lips, I didn't want to trouble too many people, but from Gori Hai, they really, really encouraged and helped me. Karan and Varun both launched it, and it was very sweet of them.
I think you and Varun anyway go back a long way. You made your debut with
his dad, so of course I know him from there, and I've seen him when he started out. I absolutely adore him and the entire family. I'm forever rooting for them. They're just genuinely good people. You know, with the amount of work David G's done, and you know, the highs and lows that he's seen in his career, he is one of the loveliest, most grounded, wonderful human beings, and that transcends through the whole family.
Right, that's true.
Lali auntie is amazing, and Varun is, you know, anyone who meets him will say he's just all heart.
He's adorable.
Yeah, he's adorable.